Let's talk about this more with Labour leader Andrew Little. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, this list was meant to be out, nearly 24 hours ago. What was the delay all about?
Well, we said that we'd get it out yesterday. As always happens with you get the list, you tell people they're placing. There are some who are disappointed. You're going to work that through. And we worked that through with a number of people, and we got the list out.
And one of those unhappy was Willie Jackson.
Well, he said he was disappointed with his slot. I had a conversation with him, and we kind of got it settled, and he's accepted his place.
No changes made as a result of these meetings yesterday. What was talked about in those meetings?
I'm not going to go into what was talked about in meetings. This is a pretty standard list-setting process. You set the list. It's a pretty arduous process.
Were you advocating, though, for example, for Willie Jackson to be moved up from 21?
I have always backed Willie for a winnable place on the list. He's got a winnable place on the list, and the list in a whole lot of other respects reflects exactly what I wanted. So the diversity, I always said that we'd have a list that reflected and represented New Zealand as best as it possibly could. I think it does that. I think also when you look at our ethnic community representatives, which we did a hopeless job of in 2014, we've got them up the front. That's good. You look at the depth of talent that we've got on this list is just incredible. Outstanding candidates we've got there.
Sure.
Deborah Russell, tax expert. You've got Jan Tinetti, education expert. You've got
sure, that's
lawyers,
not exactly what I asked you, though, Mr. Little, which was about whether you were advocating for Willie Jackson to be in the top 20.
I don't set the list. That's the list committee.
I know, but you're one of the people in that collective process.
I said publicly that I'd back Willie for a winnable place on the list. He's got that winnable place on the list. The list is more than just one person.
But did you promise Willie Jackson?
It's a whole collection of people that represents the aspirations that Labour has for New Zealand at a time when so many New Zealanders are looking for a change. And I'm so proud of this list. It is a good list.
Mr. Little, did you promise Willie Jackson a higher list placing than 21?
No, I didn't. I'm very clear what I said publicly and to Willie is that I backed him for a winnable place on the list, and that's where we got to. And
is outside the top 20 making good on that? On what you said to him?
It's a winnable place on the list. That's what I said.
You talked about a high list placing as well, though.
Well, 21's a pretty high list place, and you get in at 27% of the vote. That's a totally winnable place on the list. That's a good spot. In the end, the list doesn't. There's a whole lot of things the list doesn't do. It doesn't determine, rankings once you're in Parliament. What it does is get you there. But people will stand on their merits in a whole lot of different ways and a whole lot of different things. The reality is 99.9% of voters won't even know about this list by the time they get to the ballot box. What they will know about is the depth of talent that Labour has going into this general election.
Mr. Little, how has Willie Jackson been placated, considering he's not your top Māori list candidate?
Well, he's accepted his list place. Everybody's accepted their list place because it's a fantastic list. It's a good balance.
Did he threaten to pull his name from the list?
It achieves everything that we wanted it to achieve.
Did he threaten to pull his name from the list?
What matters most is that we have a list in place now. I'm not going to go into conversations that may or may not have happened. I know.
But did he threaten to pull his name from the list?
All sorts of speculation. The busiest thing about yesterday was keeping up with the news feed. I wanted to know what was going to happen next. It was exciting.
Are you able to answer the question, Mr. Little?
No, I'm not going to, because that's indulgent. And actually, most people don't give a toss about that stuff. What they want to know is Labour serious? Is Labour able to attract amazing talent? And we are. And are we serious in getting that talent up, fresh, new talent, to meet the challenges that we've got now? What people want to know is people looking around, serious about wanting to get a change. Is this a party and the talent that it's got that can do the things like make sure people have their own roof over their head, clean up the waters, change the tax system? Doesn't this matter, though, Mr. Little? Because this goes to the heart of your integrity and your leadership. Well, it's about putting a list together, and we put that list together. But what you promise to people and what conversations you have with people, that matters, though, doesn't it? I don't go around making promises. Shouldn't that matter to the voters? Don't go around making promises that I can't keep. I've said, and it's been pretty clear repeatedly, I backed Willie Jackson for a winnable place on the list, and he's got there. And it's a very good list. It's a list that reflects renewal and a refreshing change for the party, and a depth of talent that I don't think we've seen in a Labour Party list for many, many elections. Was Willie Jackson able to speak in person yesterday at these meetings with the people who are putting the list together, or did he just speak to you? No, he spoke to me, he spoke to others, and that was it. It was a good conversation. So was he essentially putting his case forward as to why he should be higher up the list than number 21? He and a few others had expressed disappointment in their list placing. It happens every time the list goes together, and you deal with it. You've got to treat people with courtesy and respect. You don't get dismissive about people. This is a good list. We wanted to hold it together. We've held it together, and people are accepting of it because it is a good list, and it is a list that allows the Labour Party to rise to the challenges that New Zealanders know that we as a country have got.
It's a good list, you say. It's a list also that doesn't include Sue Moroney. What did she do wrong?
It's not what she did wrong. Sue's been an outstanding MP. She's led an amazing campaign for 26 weeks paid parental leave. But the thing about, we're at a stage where we're attracting incredible levels of talent, and Sue amongst them. And you've got to make decisions, and sometimes you've got to make hard decisions.
But she wasn't going to be she wasn't on an unwinnable spot, despite this great work that you're saying she has put forward and the achievements she's made.
There are amazingly talented people throughout the list, including those who will be in unwinnable places. There isn't room for everybody.
But by doing such great work and having that proven track record, what is it that she's done wrong to lose support in such a significant manner?
The list committee has to make a collective decision about the available talent, the new talent you want to bring in, the talent that's available, give a signal about the future talent that you want to bring forward. There's a whole bunch of factors that go into this, and we had to meet the requirements that we have about getting to 50% women on our list and 50% candidates.
But having Sue Moroney up there would help you on your female count, wouldn't it?
I don't think anybody's saying that the women we've got there, the talented women, the depth of talent that we've got are somehow, a shortcoming. We've got amazing talent in the list there that is there now. I talk about people. I've talked about Deborah Russell, Jan Tinetti, Kerry Allen, all the rest of it.
We're running short on time,
Mr.
Little. I would like to ask you this before we finish. Do you think that this has been a display of strong leadership for you, and the way you've handled this has been a success?
I'm very pleased about the list because this list reflects everything that I've said publicly that I wanted. I wanted a list that reflected and represented New Zealand as best as I could. I wanted a list that brought in fresh new talent. I wanted a list that brought our ethnic community.
But do you think you've handled it well and it's been a success?
I wanted a list that had Willie Jackson in a winnable place on the list. It's done everything that I wanted. It is a fantastic list, great talent. It sets us up well for the election campaign to come up, and we're going to have an amazing team in Parliament after the 23rd of September.
Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Andrew Little, the Labour leader, there at 29 minutes to 8.